Saving Private Ryan didn't just win Oscars, it revolutionized how war appears on screen. Spielberg's brutal vision shocked audiences, haunted veterans, and redefined cinema forever. Behind the blood and chaos lie incredible secrets. Technical gambles that could have destroyed careers, cast struggles that created authentic bonds, and cultural impacts still felt today. From Ireland's beaches to real battlefields, every detail carried profound meaning. These hidden stories reveal the extraordinary effort, sacrifice, and legacy of this cinematic masterpiece. Number 1. Ireland stood in for Normandy. The most famous beach landing in cinema history wasn't filmed where you think. Instead of traveling to the actual Normandy coastline, Spielberg found his perfect battlefield on Ireland's Ballinesker beach. This wasn't just a simple location swap, it was a massive production undertaking. The director assembled an army of 1,500 extras to storm the fictional shore, including Irish Army Reserve soldiers who brought authentic military training to their roles. But Spielberg's commitment to realism went even further. He cast real amputees wearing prosthetic limbs to portray wounded soldiers, creating visceral authenticity that left audiences stunned. This controversial choice sparked debates about exploitation versus artistic truth, but the results spoke for themselves on screen. Number 2. $12 million battle without storyboards. Most directors meticulously plan every shot, especially for complex action sequences. Spielberg threw that rulebook out the window for the D-Day invasion, spending a staggering $12 million on pure cinematic chaos. Rather than creating detailed storyboards, he deliberately chose to let his cameras capture raw, unplanned moments. This meant multiple camera operators worked simultaneously, never knowing exactly what would happen next during each take. Industry experts called it one of the riskiest directing decisions in Hollywood history. Spielberg was gambling his reputation and the studio's money on spontaneous filmmaking. The gamble paid off spectacularly, creating the most realistic battle sequence ever captured on film. Number 3. The brothers who inspired Ryan. Every great war story needs a human heart, and this one came from devastating real-life tragedy. The fictional Private Ryan was directly inspired by Fritz Nieland, an actual American soldier whose family paid the ultimate price for freedom. Nieland's story was almost too tragic for fiction. He lost 3 brothers in combat during World War II. Military officials made the unprecedented decision to pull him from active duty, recognizing that one family had already sacrificed enough. This true story gave Spielberg's film its moral foundation. The quest to save one soldier wasn't just a plot device. It represented America's recognition that some losses are simply too great for any family to bear. Number 4. Real bullets in the sound mix. Creating authentic battle sounds required extreme measures that pushed filmmaking boundaries. Sound designers didn't rely on typical Hollywood effects libraries. They fired genuine World War II weapons into sand, water, and metal surfaces. The team recorded these authentic gunshots and explosions, then fed the audio directly into actors' earpieces during filming. This meant performers were hearing real weapon sounds while delivering their lines, creating genuine startled reactions. This innovative technique made every gunshot feel terrifyingly real to both actors and audiences. The psychological impact was immediate. Cast members later described how the authentic sounds made them feel like they were actually under fire, adding layers of genuine fear to their performances. Number 5. Spielberg banned late entrances. The director made an unprecedented demand that changed how theaters operated during the film's release. Spielberg insisted that cinemas play Saving Private Ryan at maximum volume and physically block anyone from entering after the opening credits began. This wasn't typical Hollywood ego, it was artistic necessity. Spielberg understood that the opening battle sequence required complete audience immersion from the very first frame. Late arrivals would break the carefully crafted spell of chaos and terror. Theater owners initially resisted these unusual requirements, but Spielberg's reputation carried weight. The result was a viewing experience unlike any other, where audiences were trapped in the trenches from minute one, unable to escape the brutal reality unfolding on screen. Number 6. Explosions actors never saw coming. Authentic fear cannot be acted, it must be experienced. Spielberg understood this principle and made a shocking decision that terrified his own cast members during the intense Omaha beach sequence. The director deliberately refused to warn actors when explosive charges would detonate around them. Cast members never knew when the next blast would occur, creating genuine panic and startled reactions that no amount of acting technique could replicate. The screams of terror and shock you hear during the beach landing weren't scripted performances. They were real human responses to unexpected danger. This controversial directing method pushed ethical boundaries, but delivered unmatched authenticity that audiences felt in their bones. Number 7. Damon was a nobody until he wasn't. Casting unknown actors can make or break a film's believability. Spielberg specifically chose Matt Damon because audiences wouldn't recognize his face, making Private Ryan feel like a real soldier rather than a Hollywood star. This strategic decision seemed perfect until an unexpected problem arose. Good Will Hunting was released just before Saving Private Ryan hit theaters, transforming Damon from complete unknown to Academy Award winner overnight. Suddenly, the anonymous soldier Spielberg wanted became one of the most recognizable faces in America. The timing was purely coincidental, but it fundamentally changed how audiences experienced the character. They were now watching a movie star pretend to be a common soldier. Number 8. Boot camp bonding through misery. Real soldiers bond through shared hardship, so Spielberg decided his actors needed the same experience. Captain Dale Dye, a military consultant, put the cast through an absolutely brutal 10-day military training camp that pushed them to their limits. The actors slept in cold mud, marched with heavy equipment, and lived exactly like World War II infantrymen. They ate military rations, followed strict military discipline, and experienced the exhaustion that real soldiers face daily. But here's the twist. Matt Damon was deliberately excluded from this bonding experience. Spielberg wanted the other actors to genuinely resent Damon's character, creating authentic tension that would translate perfectly to screen dynamics. Number 9. Vin Diesel's life-changing role. Sometimes careers are launched by pure chance encounters. Spielberg discovered Vin Diesel not through traditional auditions, but after watching his independent short film, Multifacial, which showcased raw talent and authenticity. Without requiring any formal audition process, Spielberg offered Diesel $100,000 to play Private Caparzo. This was life-changing money for a struggling actor who had been working as a bouncer to pay his bills. This single role became the launching pad for Diesel's entire career trajectory. The exposure and credibility from working with Spielberg directly led to his eventual casting in the Fast and Furious franchise, transforming him from unknown performer to global action star. Number 10. Hanks said yes before page 2. When Tom Hanks received the script, something extraordinary happened that rarely occurs in Hollywood. He read the entire screenplay in one sitting and immediately accepted the role without any negotiation or discussion about money. For Hanks, Captain Miller represented something far more significant than just another acting opportunity. He viewed the character as a sacred responsibility to honor the memory of real World War II veterans and their sacrifices. This immediate commitment reflected Hanks's deep respect for the source material and his understanding of the film's importance. He wasn't just taking a job, he was accepting the duty to portray American heroism with the dignity and authenticity it deserved. Number 11. Miller's shaking hand was Hank's idea. The most memorable physical detail of Captain Miller came directly from the actor's creative instincts. Hanks suggested that his character should have a trembling hand, a subtle but powerful symbol that would define Miller's entire emotional journey. This wasn't just a random acting choice, it represented the psychological toll that leadership takes on good men during wartime. The tremor showed audiences that even the strongest commanders carry invisible wounds from the impossible decisions they must make. Spielberg immediately recognized the brilliance of this detail. The shaking hand became a visual metaphor for the weight of responsibility, showing how war damages everyone it touches, even those who appear strongest on the surface. This simple physical trait added profound depth to what could have been a standard heroic character. Number 12. Earn this was never in the script. The film's most emotionally devastating line emerged spontaneously during filming. When Miller whispers, "Earn this" to Private Ryan, those words weren't written by any screenwriter. They came directly from Tom Hanks in the moment. Spielberg instantly knew he was witnessing something special. The improvised line captured the entire moral weight of the film in just 2 simple words, transforming a dying soldier's final request into cinema's most powerful challenge. This spontaneous moment became the emotional heart of the entire movie. Those 2 words gave meaning to every sacrifice shown on screen and created a lasting burden that haunts audiences long after leaving the theater. The line perfectly encapsulated the film's central theme about earning the freedom others died to protect. Number 13. Sizemore's daily testing. Behind-the-scenes struggles sometimes mirror the battles shown on screen. Tom Sizemore faced a personal war with substance issues that threatened his participation in the film, requiring extraordinary measures to keep him on set. Spielberg made an unprecedented demand. Sizemore had to submit to testing every single day of filming. The director made it crystal clear that one failed test would result in immediate termination, regardless of how it might affect the production schedule. This unusual arrangement reflected both Spielberg's commitment to the film and his belief in Sizemore's talent. The actor's performance as Sergeant Horvath became one of the film's highlights, proving that sometimes tough decisions protect both the artist and the art. Sizemore successfully completed filming without incident, delivering career-defining work under intense pressure. Number 14. Billy Bob feared the water. Casting decisions sometimes hinge on unexpected personal limitations. Billy Bob Thornton was seriously considered for the role of Sergeant Horvath, but a surprising phobia derailed his potential involvement in the project. Thornton suffers from severe aquaphobia, an intense fear of water that made the beach landing sequences absolutely impossible for him to perform. The prospect of filming in ocean waves and wet conditions was simply too overwhelming. This fear forced Spielberg to look elsewhere for his sergeant, ultimately leading to Tom Sizemore's casting. Sometimes the most talented actors must acknowledge their limitations, and water-heavy war films definitely weren't compatible with Thornton's specific anxieties. The role required extensive water work that would have been psychological torture for the phobic actor. Number 15. Spielberg's unique camera shakes. Innovation often comes from ignorance of existing solutions. Spielberg needed his cameras to shake violently during explosion sequences, so he attached power drills directly to the camera equipment to create artificial vibration. This homemade approach worked perfectly, creating the chaotic visual style that made audiences feel like they were experiencing the battle firsthand. The shaking cameras added visceral realism that traditional steady shots could never achieve. Only after filming was complete did Spielberg discover that professional shaker lenses already existed in the industry. His accidental reinvention of existing technology proved that sometimes the best solutions come from not knowing what's supposed to be impossible. The drill-powered cameras became an iconic part of the film's revolutionary visual language. Number 16. German traps backfired at Omaha. Real warfare often involves strategic miscalculations that change history's course. The menacing Czech hedgehogs visible throughout the Omaha beach sequence weren't just movie props. They were authentic anti-tank obstacles that German forces actually deployed. These jagged metal structures were designed to destroy Allied landing craft and tanks attempting to reach the shore. German engineers carefully positioned them to create an impenetrable barrier that would stop any invasion force in the surf. However, the Germans made a critical error in their tide calculations. Many of these supposedly deadly obstacles became completely useless when the actual D-Day landings occurred at different water levels than anticipated. This real-world military blunder helped Allied forces succeed where they might have failed, proving that even the best-laid plans can be undone by natural forces. Number 17. Spielberg refused to profit. Some stories are too sacred for personal gain. Spielberg made an extraordinary financial decision that shocked Hollywood executives. He completely waived both his director's salary and any profit-sharing arrangements from the film. The director called taking money from this project blood money, recognizing that profiting from soldiers' sacrifices felt morally wrong. This wasn't a publicity stunt. It was a genuine gesture of respect for the veterans whose stories inspired the film. Instead of enriching himself, Spielberg quietly directed those funds toward veterans foundations and military support organizations. His sacrifice ensured that the money would actually help real soldiers and their families, rather than adding to his already substantial fortune. This decision reflected the film's deeper purpose beyond entertainment. Number 18. India nearly banned the film. International censorship boards struggled with the film's unprecedented violence. Indian authorities initially attempted to completely block the movie's release, arguing that its graphic content was too disturbing for local audiences. The graphic depiction of war casualties and the intense battle sequences violated several censorship guidelines. Officials worried that such realistic violence would traumatize viewers and potentially inspire copycat behavior or desensitize people to real conflict. However, after the Home Minister personally viewed the complete film, everything changed. Recognizing its artistic merit and historical importance, authorities reversed their decision and allowed Saving Private Ryan to be released completely uncut. The film's educational value ultimately outweighed concerns about its brutal honesty. Number 19. Veterans finally opened up. The film's impact extended far beyond entertainment into real psychological healing. The Department of Veterans Affairs quickly established special hotlines specifically to help World War II veterans who were emotionally shaken by the movie's realistic portrayal. Many elderly veterans contacted these services for the first time in their lives, finally ready to discuss traumatic experiences they had kept buried for decades. The film's authenticity triggered long-suppressed memories and emotions that these men had never felt safe sharing. This unexpected therapeutic effect broke through walls of silence that had existed since the 1940s. Countless veterans sought professional help for the first time, beginning healing processes that should have started 50 years earlier. The movie became an accidental catalyst for addressing widespread untreated trauma in the veteran community. Number 20. Blood Turned the Surf Red. Creating realistic battlefield carnage required shocking quantities of artificial gore. The production team dumped over 40 barrels of fake blood directly into the ocean during the Omaha Beach filming, literally turning the Irish surf crimson red. The visual effect was horrifyingly authentic, but the real authenticity came from another controversial casting choice. Amputee extras wearing prosthetic injuries portrayed wounded soldiers, adding shocking realism that no special effects could match. This combination of artificial blood and real amputees created visceral authenticity that left audiences genuinely disturbed. The sight of actual amputees in a war context forced viewers to confront the real human cost of conflict. Critics debated whether this approach exploited disability or honored sacrifice, but the emotional impact was undeniable. Number 21. Hanks became a real ranger. Exceptional performances sometimes earn recognition beyond Hollywood awards. Tom Hanks's portrayal of Captain Miller was so authentic and respectful that it caught the attention of the actual U.S. Army Rangers organization. The military brotherhood was deeply moved by Hanks's commitment to honoring their legacy with dignity and accuracy. His performance captured the essence of Ranger leadership, the burden of command, the sacrifice for others, and the quiet heroism that defines elite soldiers. In an unprecedented honor, Hanks was inducted as an honorary member of the U.S. Army Ranger Hall of Fame. This recognition meant more to the actor than any Oscar or Golden Globe, representing acceptance by the real warriors he had portrayed. The induction ceremony acknowledged that his fictional captain had become a genuine tribute to real Rangers who made the ultimate sacrifice. Number 22. The cemetery was the real thing. The film's emotional conclusion required the most sacred possible setting. Rather than building artificial graves on a studio lot, Spielberg chose to film the final scene at the actual Normandy American cemetery among 9,000 genuine headstones. This wasn't just about visual authenticity, it was about spiritual authenticity. Every grave marker represented a real American soldier who died fighting for freedom, making the location itself a character in the story. Veterans' families served as extras during the cemetery shoot, adding another layer of genuine emotion to the scene. Many of these family members had never visited their loved ones' graves before, creating spontaneous moments of real grief and remembrance. The presence of actual Gold Star families transformed what could have been just another movie scene into a genuine memorial service. Number 23. Film helped build World War II memorial. Hollywood influence can extend into real-world change. Both Spielberg and Hanks actively supported the campaign to fund the National World War II Memorial in Washington, D.C., using their celebrity status for a greater cause. The film's emotional impact on audiences created a surge of public interest in honoring World War II veterans. Donations to the Memorial Fund increased dramatically following the movie's release, as viewers felt compelled to support real veterans after witnessing fictional sacrifice. This grassroots fundraising effort proved that entertainment could inspire civic action. The memorial's eventual construction owed a significant debt to the film's ability to remind Americans why these veterans deserved permanent recognition. Spielberg's artistic vision had created tangible support for honoring real heroes. Number 24. From Omaha to PlayStation. The film's influence extended into unexpected entertainment mediums. Members of the creative team behind the movie went on to develop the groundbreaking video game Medal of Honor, bringing interactive warfare to home consoles. The game's iconic D-Day mission was directly modeled on Spielberg's cinematic sequence, translating the film's visceral intensity into playable form. This represented a new frontier in entertainment, where movie authenticity could inspire gaming realism. This crossover between cinema and gaming created a new generation of World War II awareness among young people who might never watch classic war films. The game reached audiences that traditional movies couldn't touch, extending the film's educational impact. Spielberg's vision had evolved from passive viewing into active participation, making history feel immediate and personal. Number 25. Return to theaters for remembrance. Quarter-century anniversaries deserve special recognition. In 2023, Saving Private Ryan returned to theaters nationwide to mark both its 25th anniversary and the approaching 85th anniversary of the actual D-Day landings. This theatrical re-release brought together multiple generations in darkened cinemas. Original viewers returned with their children and grandchildren, while new audiences experienced the film's power for the first time on the big screen. Veterans, families, and newcomers watched together in respectful silence, creating shared moments of remembrance across generational lines. The re-release proved that some stories transcend their original moment, becoming permanent reminders of sacrifice and heroism. These screenings became informal memorial services, honoring both fictional characters and real soldiers who stormed those beaches decades ago. Saving Private Ryan transcended cinema to become memory, therapy, and tribute. From Ireland's beaches standing in for Normandy to filming among real graves, every detail carried profound weight and meaning. Through improvised lines, authentic sounds, and genuine sacrifice, this masterpiece reminded the world that heroism isn't about glory. It's about ordinary people making extraordinary choices when everything depends on them. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe for more hidden Hollywood secrets behind your favorite films. Which of these secrets shocked you the most? Tell us in the comments below.